Out of all the mental skills I have taught athletes, fighter pilots, and doctors, gratitude is always the best and most effective mental skill. Always has been, and I think it always will be. When we think about mental skills, when I think about mental skills, a lot of times I go to self-talk and some of the body-based ones like breathing and progressive muscle relaxation, meditation, mindfulness, pre-performance routines, habits, those kind of things. I think gratitude is significantly overlooked because a lot of times people think that it can't be so effective because it's such a small thing. One of my favorite phrases is the little things done consistently over a long period of time have the greatest impact. And by doing the little things consistently, they become habits, because our brain is a habit-forming machine. The human brain loves to default to actions and behaviors because it only has so much attention. You only have so much attention to give. And the more attention you give to one thing, the less you have to give to another, which is why we become creatures of habit, which is why the more you practice something, the better you get at it, because you're creating those habits. And habits could be throwing a ball, catching a ball, any other thing in sports, could be playing an instrument, but it also could be the way that you live life. Wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock to go to the gym now becomes a habit. It doesn't mean it's easy. I would rather have stayed in my bed and slept in. In fact, after I got up and I was ready to go, I still thought about getting back in bed after all that work that I did. But the habit, the more you do the thing, the better you get at it. So this is where gratitude comes in. What is gratitude? Gratitude is thankfulness and appreciation for the good things in your life. Humans have a tendency to look at negativity and gossip and drama and danger because the strong reaction of your brain's number one job is to keep you safe and alive. And so it's part of its job is to look for danger. That's a prehistoric habit that our brain has not evolved out of. We did it for thousands of years. And now suddenly within a couple hundred years of the modern living, we have not been able to... It's been difficult to untrain the brain for those things because it's a habit. It's the default. Well, if you have a default program in your brain, you have to very deliberately train it. That's why smoking is so difficult. Alcohol is so enticing. Any other things that are enticing that does not seem like it's very productive. We know it's not productive, we still do it. So the idea behind this negativity bias is a protective measure. And if the brain doesn't find things that are legitimately danger, it'll find things as perceived danger, up to and including fear of failure and fear of judgment. Those are all going to lead to these strong reactions because of your negativity bias. If you want to train your brain out of that negativity bias, you need to actively do things that are going to shift your focus away from those things to the things that are better, more the good things that you have appreciation for. It's not a way to ignore bad things. It's not a reason to, yeah, sure, there's gossip and drama. I need to be aware of those things, but I don't want it to capture and keep my attention for a long period of time. I want to be aware of those things, but I want to put the majority of my attention on this other space where these good things are happening. And so the solution is simply called a gratitude journal or gratitude practice. Some people don't like journaling, and I get it. Start with focusing intently on these good things. And the habit is super simple. It's like 5 minutes a day. And there's a series of questions you're going to ask yourself. I want you to think of something good for the last 24 hours. And that's the most important part. It has to be recent. I want you to remember. I don't want you to think about, oh yeah, last summer I went to this place. I want it to be very recent, where there's still a strong emotional attachment. There's still some strong thoughts where you can relive the scenario very intensely. The more intense the memory and the emotional attachment, the stronger it's going to be for you. So that is key. So remember, think about a good thing from the last 24 hours. And then I want you to ask yourself a series of questions. What happened? Who was involved? And why was this thing so significantly important to you? And now it doesn't have to be a big thing. Again, this is a trick of, it doesn't have to be a big thing. In fact, the more you can find appreciation in the small things, the better the big things are going to feel. So don't just look for the good things. It could be, I really appreciate the person at the cafe who served my food. Everything was amazing. Even if there was a mistake, they fixed it. They were on top of things. The food was great. The atmosphere was amazing. And you start getting this focus on this appreciation for this seemingly minimal experience now has grown into this massive appreciation because you put your energy and attention to focusing on this thing. And by putting your energy and focus on that thing, you are now, not only are you shifting your gaze away from the problematic things, which are always going to be there. There's always going to be something to bitch and complain about. But you're focusing so much on these things. Now, if you ever go back to that diner, or a diner that reminds you of that other diner, you're more likely going to be able to relive that situation, even in the case where maybe some things went wrong. Maybe the order went wrong. Maybe the waitress wasn't very good. But is there still something in that scenario that you can focus on, to reflect on, to appreciate, and to grow those strong feelings of gratitude, appreciation, and thankfulness, even if it's just for the opportunity. Maybe things didn't go very well, but it's the opportunity, and maybe next time it'll go better. And by doing this, you're shifting your attention, and the more you shift your attention, the more you repeat this exercise over and over, the more the habit is going to shift. In your life, you're going to shift most of your attention to the good things, and you're going to be able to reflect on these good things over and over again throughout your day, throughout your life. The powerful shift comes over time. And I'm talking 30 or more days. The research has shown this is a science-backed mental skill. Research on gratitude through functional MRI, which is where they put the cap on your head and they can actually see your brain functioning. They have shown the brain changes over time if you use a gratitude practice. So this is a science-backed mental skill, resilience skill. If you practice this gratitude for a long period of time, a couple things happen that are intertwined. One, your brain physically changes. The physical makeup of your brain changes. Part of that is due to the neurological impulses of your brain change in the way that you think, which then is creating new thinking patterns and belief systems inside your brain. And that is the core. Your belief systems and your thought patterns are the core of how you feel and act. So if you can create a new habit, just like I've created a habit over time where I'm getting up and going to the gym at 5 o'clock even when I don't want to, you're going to create a habit of gratitude and thankfulness, appreciation for the good things in your life and the opportunities, even when things are not going right, even when things could have been much better. You're still going to find something to be appreciative for. You're going to find something to be thankful for. And that is an extremely important aspect of well-being, of mindfulness, and your ability to find joy in life. And you think of people that are experiencing significant stress and adversity. Think about people that are in prison. Think about people in World War II prisoner of war camps. Think about people that are victims of whatever, right? Legitimate, not victim mindset, but victims of certain things. There was a long time ago, a study was done where they compared people who got into accidents and couldn't walk again, some severe like quadriplegics. And then they compared those to people who won the lottery. And of course, there was this massive change in their life, right? Because the people that were paralyzed had this massive drop in appreciation, and these people that won the lottery had this massive spike in appreciation. But over time, the new normal and their ability to adapt changed, and they crossed, and the people that had lost over time had more appreciation. People who won the lottery over time, their new normal, they didn't appreciate after a certain amount of time. They didn't appreciate as much. And that's not 100% right. There's going to be examples of, people won the lottery and did just fine. But over time, when you're talking about large amounts of people, even in scenarios where people lost significantly initially, over time they were able to be grateful, thankful, and appreciative of the things that were now still in their lives. So you have that ability. You have the ability to practice gratitude. If you practice gratitude, you are more likely to be appreciative of the things in your life. You're more likely to find the good things rather than searching out and finding the things that are always going to be there, the negativity that's going to be there, the gossip and the drama, and the perceived threat of judgment or loss or whatever it is that you might perceive. There's always going to be something to complain about. So rather than continuing to focus on those things, people who have the greatest life satisfaction are the people who practice gratitude and force themselves into the thought process of I appreciate and I am thankful for.